Hey everyone, and welcome back to Life in Divinity. You know that practice that everybody's been buzzing about?
Yeah.
Vipassana Meditation.
Yeah.
We're going to go deep on that today.
Awesome.
It's one of India's oldest techniques.
It is.
And even after 2,500 years, it's more relevant than ever, it seems.
Oh, sure.
We're going to unpack what it is, why it's having such a resurgence, and even tackle some of those myths, that might be keeping you from trying it out.
It's fascinating how much misinformation is out there, but once we clear that up, I think you'll see why Vipassana resonates so deeply with people from all walks of life.
Right, because it's not about becoming a monk or anything like that. So if you're ready to dive into the world of mindfulness and self-discovery, hit that like button, share this with your friends, and subscribe to Life in Divinity for more journeys like this one. Okay, let's get started. What exactly is Vipassana? I keep hearing the name, but I'm not sure I really grasp it.
Well, at its core, Vipassana means to see things as they really are. It's a technique of self-observation and mindfulness, and the aim is to purify the mind through this process of non-judgmental awareness. Ultimately, the practice can lead to liberation from suffering, which we'll get into more a little bit later.
Liberation from suffering. Now, that's a bold claim. But before we go there, one of the things I've always wondered is, isn't this just another form of Buddhism?
Yeah, that's a common misconception. Vipassana is actually non-sectarian.
Okay.
It's not tied to any specific religion or belief system. That's part of its appeal. Really, anybody can practice it, regardless of their background.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's tackle some of those myths I mentioned earlier. The first one that always comes to mind is that you need to meditate for hours every day to see any benefits. Is that true?
That's definitely one of the bigger myths out there. While intensive courses do involve longer sessions, you can absolutely start with just 5 or 10 minutes a day. In fact, even the official Vipassana website encourages integrating shorter sessions into daily life.
That's a relief.
Yeah.
5 minutes, I can handle that. Okay, myth number 2. Vipassana is this passive kind of meditation where you're just trying to empty your mind?
Right. Not at all. Vipassana is an active form of mental training. It's not about blanking out your thoughts, but rather about observing your bodily sensations and thoughts without getting carried away by them. Think of it as actively training your mind to become a keen observer.
So it's more about focused awareness than just sitting there in silence trying to think of nothing.
Exactly. There are even studies that show this active attentional deployment happening in the brains of Vipassana meditators. Basically, your brain is firing in very specific ways, similar to when you're concentrating on a complex task. It's not zoning out, it's tuning in.
Interesting. Okay, last myth we're going to bust today. Vipassana is only for experienced meditators. I've always thought you had to be some kind of Zen master to even attempt it.
Yeah, that's another misconception. Vipassana is for everyone, including complete beginners. There are structured 10-day courses designed specifically for people who've never meditated before. These courses guide you step by step through the entire process.
So even if I've never meditated in my life, I could still try Vipassana.
Absolutely. And here's the amazing part. These courses are often offered completely free of charge. They're funded by donations from people who have benefited from the practice. This makes Vipassana incredibly accessible to people from all walks of life.
Wow, that's really impressive. Okay, so we've busted the myth about needing hours of practice, the myth about it being passive, and the myth about it being only for seasoned meditators. Now I'm curious, what are the actual techniques involved in Vipassana?
Well, there's more to Vipassana than just sitting and meditating. It's a systematic approach to developing mindfulness and insight. We'll get into some more specifics in a bit, but first it's important to understand the core principle of impermanence, which is central to Vipassana.
Impermanence, you mean like the fact that everything changes?
Precisely. And Vipassana allows you to experience this truth directly, not just intellectually grasp it. It's one thing to know that everything is in flux, but it's another to actually feel it in your own body.
This is where I think a lot of people, myself included, might get lost. How does simply observing sensations lead to that kind of deep understanding?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll explore in more depth in the next part of our deep dive. We'll delve into the specific techniques of Vipassana, how they work, and why they're so effective at cultivating insight.
Sounds good. So everyone listening, be sure to tune in to part 2, where we'll get into the nitty-gritty of Vipassana techniques and explore how they can help you see things as they really are. Until then, stay curious, stay mindful, and keep diving deep with life and divinity.
In part 1, we laid the groundwork, debunked some common myths, and you even started to get a sense of what this whole seeing things as they are thing means in Vipassana.
Right, that impermanence thing really caught my attention. It's a concept I've always sort of understood intellectually, but I'm not sure I've ever truly experienced it the way you described.
Yeah, that's the power of Vipassana. It takes you beyond intellectual understanding and into direct experience. And that's where the real transformation happens.
So let's get into those techniques you mentioned. How does Vipassana actually work? What are you doing during those meditation sessions?
Well, it starts with a technique called Anapana meditation, which focuses on the breath. It might sound simple, but there's more to it than just noticing your breathing.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Walk me through it.
In Anapana, you focus your attention on the sensation of the breath at the nostrils, the feeling of the air as it enters and leaves your body. This might sound easy, but our minds are incredibly busy.
Oh, tell me about it. I could already imagine myself getting distracted by a million thoughts.
That's completely normal. The point isn't to stop your thoughts altogether, but rather to gently guide your attention back to the breath whenever you notice it has wandered. It's like doing reps at the gym. You're training your mind to become more focused and stable.
So it's a way of building mental muscle, basically.
Exactly. And as you practice Anapana, you start to develop a heightened sense of awareness. You become more sensitive to the subtle sensations of the breath and more skilled at keeping your attention anchored in the present moment.
Okay, so that's Anapana. What comes next?
After you've established a solid foundation of concentration through Anapana, you move on to the practice of observing bodily sensations. This is where things get really interesting.
Bodily sensations. What does that mean exactly?
It means systematically scanning your body from head to toe and noticing any sensations that arise. It could be tingling, warmth, pressure, tightness, even just a neutral sensation. It doesn't matter what it is. The key is to simply observe it without judgment.
This is where I think a lot of people, myself included, might struggle. How do you just observe a sensation without getting caught up in it, especially if it's an unpleasant one?
That's where the real skill comes in. Vipassana teaches you to become an impartial observer of your experience. You're not trying to change the sensation, analyze it, or push it away. You're simply acknowledging it. There's tightness in my shoulders. There's a tingling in my foot. That's it.
So it's about developing a kind of detachment from your sensations.
Yes, but it's not a cold or emotionless detachment. It's more like a gentle awareness, a recognition that these sensations are simply arising and passing away, just like everything else in life.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this connects back to the idea of impermanence. By observing sensations in this way, you're directly experiencing the fact that they're constantly changing.
Exactly. And as you continue to practice, this understanding of impermanence deepens. You start to see that not only are physical sensations impermanent, but so are your thoughts, emotions, even your sense of self.
Well, hold on. My sense of self is impermanent. That's a pretty radical concept.
It is, and it's one of the most profound insights that Vipassana can offer. We tend to cling to the idea of a solid, unchanging self, but Vipassana helps us see that this is just an illusion.
So if my sense of self is an illusion, then what am I?
That's the big question, isn't it? And it's one that Vipassana doesn't attempt to answer directly. Instead, it provides a framework for exploring that question through direct experience.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack. We're talking about training the mind, observing sensations, understanding impermanence, and even questioning the nature of the self. This all sounds incredibly profound, but I'm also wondering how it translates into everyday life. What are the tangible benefits of practicing Vipassana?
That's a great question, and it's one we're going to explore in detail in the next part of our deep dive. We'll delve into the scientific research on Vipassana and discover the incredible benefits it offers for our mental, emotional, and even physical well-being.
All right, everyone listening, make sure you tune in for part 3, where we'll explore the amazing ways that Vipassana can transform your life, from reducing stress and anxiety to boosting your focus and cultivating deeper compassion.
In the first 2 parts, we've explored the what and the how of Vipassana, the principles, the techniques. We even touched on some of those mind-bending concepts like impermanence and the self.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in, for sure.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of this practice. It keeps unfolding, revealing new layers of understanding the more you engage with it.
Exactly. But I think a lot of people listening might be wondering, okay, but how does this actually affect my day-to-day life? What are the real-world benefits? That's what I'm really curious about.
You're not alone. And that's where the scientific research comes in. It's no longer just ancient wisdom. We now have studies showing some pretty remarkable effects of Vipassana, from reducing stress and anxiety to improving focus and even boosting compassion. Okay, let's break that down. Stress and anxiety, those are huge these days. Does Vipassana really make a difference?
It does. Numerous studies have shown that people who practice Vipassana experience significant drops in stress hormones and report feeling calmer and more centered. They're also less reactive to stressful situations.
So it's not just about feeling relaxed during meditation. It actually rewires your brain to handle stress better in everyday life.
Precisely. And it's not just anecdotal. Brain imaging studies show changes in brainwave activity, particularly those associated with a calm and alert state. It's like giving your brain a workout in mindfulness, and that spills over into how you handle the ups and downs of daily life.
That's amazing. What about focus? I feel like I'm constantly battling distractions these days.
Yeah, Vipassana can be a game changer for focus. Remember how we talked about Anapana meditation, training your attention on the breath? That's essentially focus training. And the more you practice, the stronger your attention muscle becomes.
So it's like building mental fitness, except instead of lifting weights, you're training your attention.
Exactly. And research backs this up. Studies have shown that Vipassana practitioners have increased activity in the parts of the brain associated with attention and cognitive control. They're better at filtering out distractions and staying focused on the task at hand.
That's something we could all use a little more of. You know, we talked about the profound impact Vipassana can have on your understanding of yourself. But what about how it affects your relationships with other people?
That's another area where Vipassana really shines. As you cultivate mindfulness and self-awareness, you naturally become more attuned to the experiences of others. You start to see them with more clarity, more empathy, even more compassion.
So it's not just about personal transformation. It ripples outward into how you interact with the world.
Exactly. Research has even shown that people who practice Vipassana are more likely to engage in pro-social behaviors like volunteering or simply being more helpful and understanding in their daily interactions. They're less reactive, less judgmental, more present, and attuned to the needs of others.
That's really powerful. It sounds like Vipassana can be a catalyst for creating a more compassionate and connected world.
Absolutely. And the beautiful thing is, anyone can access this practice. We've talked about the 10-day courses, which are incredible, but even incorporating short mindfulness practices into your daily routine can make a world of difference.
Okay, let's get practical. For someone listening who's intrigued but has no idea where to begin, what would you suggest?
Start small. Even 5 minutes a day of focused attention on your breath can be transformative. There are also tons of resources available online and through apps that offer guided meditations. And if you're ready for a deeper dive, look into those 10-day courses. Remember, they're often offered free of charge.
Great advice. We'll include some links to resources in the show notes for this episode. Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into Vipassana meditation.
It does.
A huge thank you to our expert for sharing their insights into this powerful practice. And to everyone listening, we encourage you to explore Vipassana and see what it can unlock for you.
Keep diving deep, keep exploring, and keep seeking that deeper understanding of yourselves and the world around you.
And before you go, don't forget to like this episode, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Life in Divinity for more insightful explorations into the world of spirituality and personal growth. Until next time, Stay curious and keep seeking.